They didn't knock. They dragged me onto my own porch while neighbors watched. My mother screaming, "We own that house." I'd paid every mortgage payment on time. Yet here they stood with a notarized deed bearing my signature one I'd never signed. I worked in compliance at a credit union. I knew fraud when it slapped me in the face. They wanted my $420,000 home for their golden boy and his Airbnb dreams. Fine. I'd let them play their game to the very end, then flip the entire stage. My name is Morgan Hale, and until that Tuesday morning in October, I thought I knew exactly what betrayal looked like. I'd seen it in falsified loan applications at Harbor and Finch Credit Union, where I worked as a compliance officer. I'd caught it in altered bank statements and forged signatures, but I'd never imagined it would show up at my doorstep at 9:45 a.m., wearing my mother's perfume and my father's cologne. The locksmith's drill screamed against metal as I stood frozen on my own porch, still in my work clothes from the night shift. My phone lay cracked on the concrete where Dad had knocked it from my hand. Behind him, my brother Dylan wheeled a suitcase up my walkway like he was checking into a hotel. "This is illegal," I said, my voice steady despite the tremor in my hands. "You can't just... We own this house." Mom's voice carried across the cul-de-sac, sharp enough to bring Mrs. Patterson to her window across the street. "Show her the papers, Charles." Dad unfolded a document with the theatrical precision of a magician revealing his trick. "Quitclaim deed. Notarized. Your signature right there, transferring life estate to us." I stared at the paper, my trained eye immediately catching the inconsistencies. The notary seal looked off the embossed number didn't match Pinecrest County's current series. The signature that was supposedly mine had the right loops and curves, but the pen pressure was uniform, too perfect, like someone had traced it. "I never signed this," I said. Mom laughed, the sound bitter as burnt coffee. "You signed so many papers at that bank, you probably forgot. Besides, we're on the mortgage. Remember, we helped you buy this place." The sawdust from the new lock cylinder drifted in the morning air, mixing with the scent of my neighbor's freshly cut grass. My beautiful two-story townhouse, $420,000 of red brick and white trim, was being stolen from me in broad daylight, and everyone was watching. "Get your things," Dylan said, already eyeing the doorway like he owned it. "I need to set up my office in the front bedroom. Got a business meeting tomorrow." Another business, another failure waiting to happen, funded by someone else's money. This time, mine. I pulled myself straighter, remembering every fraudulent document I'd ever flagged, every criminal I'd helped prosecute, the notarization date on their deed. October 2nd, I'd been at work, logged into our secure system from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Timestamps didn't lie. "I'm calling the police," I said. "Go ahead," Mom sneered. "We have legal documentation. You're trespassing on our property now." The locksmith finished, avoiding eye contact as he handed the new keys to my father. 3 copies, 1 for each of them, none for me. As I stood there, neighbors gathering at property lines, phones probably recording, I felt something shift, not break shift, like tectonic plates realigning before an earthquake. They thought they'd won with fake papers and surprise tactics. They had no idea who they were dealing with. I picked up my cracked phone, took photos of everything: the deed, the locksmith's van, their smug faces, and walked to my car with the same measured pace I used when entering audit findings. "That's right. Run to your apartment," Dylan called out. "This is a family home now." I turned back once, memorizing the scene: my mother posing on my porch, my father testing keys in my door, my brother dragging his failure into my foyer. They wanted to play with documents. Fine. I knew exactly which documents would bury them. 2 years ago, they'd called it a gift. I remember sitting in my parents' living room, wedding magazines scattered across the coffee table, my engagement ring catching the afternoon light. The mortgage broker had just called my debt-to-income ratio was borderline for the loan I needed. "Let us help," Mom had said, her voice honey-sweet then. "We'll co-sign. Think of it as an early wedding present. You know how these lenders are, they just want to see more names on paper? Dad had already prepared the documents. Just a formality, he'd said, sliding a limited power of attorney across the table. Only for the mortgage application process. Makes it easier if we need to submit additional paperwork while you're at work. I'd hesitated. Even then, something felt off about how ready they were, how convenient their solution appeared. But Mark, my fiancé at the time, squeezed my hand. It's family, Morgan. They just want to help. 6 months later, Mark was gone, taking his promises and half my savings with him, but I kept the house. Every single payment made on time, directly from my account. 24 months of building equity while my parents told relatives how they'd set me up with a home. Now, in my temporary hotel room, I spread the photographed documents across my laptop screen, zooming in on that forged signature. The beginning stroke was wrong, too deliberate, lacking the natural lift where my pen usually hovered. I pulled up my employment records from Harbor and Finch's internal portal. October 2nd, the notarization date. I'd been running compliance reviews from 8:15 a.m. to 5:30 p.m., my keycard data, computer logs, even the breakroom coffee machine's payment system. Everything proved I'd been 20 miles away from whatever notary had stamped this fiction. I compared the signature to the ones on my actual mortgage documents. On legitimate papers, my M had a distinctive break where I lifted the pen. This forgery connected the letters in one smooth motion. Amateur work, really. Someone had scanned my signature and traced it, probably from that limited POA I'd signed years ago. The POA itself was specific, limited to mortgage application submission and related documentation during the purchase process. It had expired 30 days after closing. It certainly never authorized property transfers or deed modifications. I called up the county recorder's website, searching for the notary who'd supposedly witnessed my signature. Rebecca W. Hutchins. Her commission number was real, but something nagged at me. I cross-referenced her other notarizations that day. 5 documents, all filed within a 2-hour window, all relating to property transfers. The maximum a notary could reasonably complete with proper verification was maybe 3 in that time frame. My phone buzzed. A text from Mom. Left some of your things on the lawn. Better get them before it rains. I switched to my bank's app. The mortgage payment was due in 3 days. I'd set it to autopay from my account, as always. But if they'd filed a fraudulent deed, what else had they done? I immediately froze the automatic payment and documented the account history. 24 months of payments, all from my sole checking account. Not a penny from them. Another text, this time from Dylan. Already got 3 Airbnb bookings for next month. Thanks for keeping the place so nice. Sis. My hands stilled on the keyboard. Airbnb bookings. Revenue from my property. Income they'd have to report or not report. Tax implications they hadn't considered. I opened a new document and began typing timeline of fraudulent activity. October 2nd would be day 0. But the real story started 2 years ago, with parents who saw their daughter's stability as their opportunity. They thought they'd played the perfect con. They'd forgotten I'd learned my thoroughness from somewhere from watching them manipulate others my whole life. Only this time, I'd been taking notes. Nadia Kerr's office smelled like leather and justice. The real estate attorney sat across from me, her fingers steepled as she reviewed my evidence folder, tabbed, indexed, and cross-referenced like the compliance reports I'd perfected at Harbor and Finch. "This is thorough," she said, holding up the notary seal analysis. "The seal number is from a batch reported stolen 3 months ago. How did you—" "I have friends at the Secretary of State's office. We verify notaries constantly for loan documents." I pulled out my laptop. But here's what really matters: my digital footprint for October 2nd. The screen showed my day in data badge scan at 7:58 a.m. Computer login at 8:10 a.m. 17 compliance reviews submitted between 8:30 a.m. and noon. Even a cafeteria purchase at 12:45 p.m. Paid with my employee card. The notarization supposedly happened at 11:30 a.m. I continued. I was in the middle of a video conference call with 3 department heads. Here's the meeting recording. Nadia leaned back, a slow smile spreading across her face. They picked the wrong person to con. What about the doorbell footage? I pulled up the files. October 1st, 6:20 p.m. My mother arrives with a locksmith for a consultation. She's pointing at the door, discussing something. October 2nd, 8 a.m. The same locksmith returns but leaves when no one answers. Because I was already at work. This is premeditation, Nadia said. Now, let's discuss strategy. We file a quiet title action immediately. But first, she opened her desk drawer and pulled out forms. Notice of lease pendens. This freezes any property changes while we litigate. They can't sell, transfer, or encumber the property further. Further. My stomach dropped. We need to check for any loans taken against the property. If they've filed a fraudulent deed. I was already pulling up the county records. How do I check for the search results loaded? My blood turned to ice. Northline Capital. HELOC approved October 5th. $75,000. 3 days after the fraudulent deed, Nadia muttered, typing rapidly. We need emergency injunctive relief. Today. My phone buzzed. A text from Mom. Stop being dramatic. We're family. Come home and we'll work this out. I showed Nadia the message, then typed back, Of course. Mom, let me get my things from the apartment. Can I come by tomorrow afternoon? You're not actually going, Nadia said. No, but I need them comfortable. Comfortable people make mistakes. I forwarded her another document. This is Dylan's email to Northline Capital. He used my social security number but his email address. Amateur hour. Nadia's assistant knocked. The emergency filing is ready for signatures. As I signed the papers, Nadia made calls. Jim, I need a forensic document examiner. Yes. Signature comparison. Today, if possible. Another call. County Recorder's Office. I need a freeze on parcel number. What about criminal charges? I asked. One step at a time. Civil court moves faster. We get your house back first. Then the district attorney can build their case with our evidence. She paused. Your parents don't know what you do for a living? Do they? They think I'm a bank teller who got promoted? They never asked for details. Perfect. Let them keep thinking that. Nadia handed me a business card. Private investigator. Have him look into this notary Rebecca Hutchins. I want to know every document she's touched in the past year. I stood to leave, then turned back. How long before they know we've filed? They'll be served within 48 hours. But the lease pendens hits the public record tonight. If they're watching, they're not, I said. They're too busy planning Mom's housewarming party for Saturday. She sent invitations to the entire family. Nadia's smile turned predatory. Saturday. How perfect. Nothing like serving legal papers to a crowd. I walked out into the afternoon sun, my phone already buzzing with messages from relatives congratulating my parents on their new home. Each message was another witness to their fraud. Let them celebrate. Let them think they'd won. The trap was set, and they'd walked right into it themselves. The private investigator's report arrived at 3:30 a.m., making my hotel room coffee maker work overtime. Rebecca W. Hutchins had been busy, suspiciously busy. In the past 6 months, she'd notarized over 300 documents, averaging 10 per day. The state limit was 5 per day without special circumstances. But the pattern was what caught my eye. Clusters of property transfers, all involving family members, all with questionable timing. My case wasn't unique, it was part of a system. I dove deeper into the HELOC paperwork. Dylan had applied for the $75,000 loan on October 5th, approved on October 7th, lightning fast for a home equity line of credit, unless someone at Northline Capital was getting kickbacks for pushing through fraudulent applications. The signature on the HELOC application made me laugh out loud. Dylan had signed my name but forgotten that I always dot my I's with a tiny circle, not a dot. He'd also listed my employer as Harbor Financial Close, but wrong. Harbor and Finch Credit Union would never be shortened that way on official documents. These were the details that would hang him. My laptop pinged. Nadia had sent the forensic handwriting analysis. The expert's conclusion was damning. The questioned signature exhibits clear evidence of simulation, pen velocity inconsistent with natural writing. Pressure patterns indicate tracing rather than fluid execution. Confidence level 98% forgery. I pulled up Dylan's social media, something I rarely did anymore. His latest post, from yesterday, big moves coming. Finally getting the respect I deserve. Entrepreneurship is about taking what's yours. The comments were gold. Our cousin Beth. Is this about the house your mom said Morgan gave it to you guys? Dylan's response. Family takes care of family. Morgan finally understood that. Screenshot. Archived. Evidence file updated. My phone rang. Nadia. Despite the early hour. The notary cracked, she said without preamble. Rebecca Hutchins just got arrested on unrelated fraud charges last night. Turns out she's been selling pre-signed, pre-stamped documents. $50 for a blank notarized page. My parents bought a blank page. Looks like it. The detective on her case found a ledger. October 1st. Cash payment from C. Hale. 5 pre-stamped documents. Your parents probably typed up the deed afterward and added your forged signature. I sank onto the hotel bed. That's conspiracy to commit fraud. Multiple counts. Plus identity theft for the HELOC. Your brother's looking at federal charges if he used your SSN across state lines for any of this. The Northline Capital headquarters is in Delaware, I said, already pulling up their corporate filing. Federal it is, then. Nadia's voice carried a hint of satisfaction. Morgan, I need you to check something. Can you access your credit reports? I was already logging in. My fingers froze on the keyboard. There's another inquiry. Ridgeline Mortgage. Yesterday at 2:15 p.m. They're trying to take out another loan. We need to move now. How fast can you get to the courthouse? 20 minutes. Make it 15. Judge Harrison has an opening at 8 a.m. Bring everything, your employment records, the forensic report, the PI's findings. And Morgan, wear your most conservative suit. You need to look like exactly what you are, a responsible financial professional being victimized by family fraud. I was already pulling my court outfit from the closet. Navy suit, white blouse. The same combination I wore for federal audits. Another text from Mom lit up my phone. Your brother needs the garage code. Stop being petty and send it. I typed back. Of course. It's 8529. The wrong code. Let their locksmith figure it out while I documented another attempted entry. Then I saw Dylan's latest email to Ridgeline Mortgage, forwarded by my credit monitoring service. He'd attached a pay stub mine, but doctored to show double my actual salary. He'd gotten sloppy, though. The fonts didn't match, and he'd used the wrong tax withholding calculation for North Carolina. I compiled everything into my phone, backed it up to 3 different cloud services, and headed for the door. They thought they were stealing a house. They had no idea they were building their own prison, one fraudulent document at a time. The sun was barely rising as I drove toward the courthouse, but I felt wide awake. Every compliance review I'd ever done, every fraud I'd ever caught, had been preparing me for this moment. They wanted my house. They'd have to go through the law first, and I knew exactly how the law worked. The Saturday morning air carried the scent of barbecue smoke from my backyard, my former backyard where Mom had hired caterers for her housewarming. I sat in my rental car 3 houses down, phone recording everything, as relatives' cars filled the cul-de-sac. Phase 1, I whispered to Nadia over Bluetooth. They've got at least 30 people there. Perfect audience, she replied. The building inspector is en route. HOA representative confirmed for noon. State tax auditor at 12:30. I'd spent the week playing defeated daughter, texts to Mom about needing time to process, carefully crafted messages to relatives about working things out as a family. Meanwhile, I'd documented everything. Mom's Airbnb listing went live Thursday, already advertising charming townhome in quiet neighborhood, available November. How, with professional photos of my furniture, my renovations, my life being sold by the night. The HOA violation was ironclad. Our covenant specifically prohibited short-term rentals under 30 days. The fine was $500 per day. retroactive to the listing date. I watched Dylan directing the caterers, pointing at my Japanese maple like he'd planted it himself. He'd been busy too, 3 more loan applications using my social security number, each one sloppier than the last. Ridgeline Mortgage had actually called Harbor and Finch to verify employment. My colleague had immediately flagged it as potential fraud. My phone buzzed. The building inspector. On site. They replaced a load-bearing wall bracket without permits. 2nd floor bathroom. I texted back. They removed it Wednesday to install a shower caddy. I have date-stamped photos. The beauty of my plan wasn't just the individual violations, it was the timing. Every agency would arrive during peak party hours, creating a cascade of public humiliation. I opened my laptop and reviewed the recorded call from Thursday. North Carolina was a one-party consent state, and Mom had given me everything. We had to move fast. Her voice crackled through my earbuds. That notary said the stamps were only good for a week. Your father practiced your signature for hours. Pretty good. Right. You never even noticed when we swapped those papers you signed. Mom, my recorded voice played back, deliberately weak. How did you know I wouldn't be there? Please. You work every Tuesday. Have for 2 years. We're not stupid. Morgan. No. Just criminal. Another car pulled up. My Aunt Patricia, Mom's sister, carrying a gift basket. She'd posted on Facebook yesterday. So proud of Linda and Charles for helping Morgan see sense. Family homes should stay with family. The State Department of Revenue had been very interested in that post when I'd explained that Mom was planning to generate unreported rental income. The auditor had practically salivated when I'd shown him Dylan's Venmo account, already accepting deposits from potential renters. 11:45 a.m. The party was reaching full swing. Through my binoculars, I could see Mom holding court on my deck, champagne glass raised. Dad was showing off the smart home system I'd installed, pretending he understood the automation I'd programmed. All units ready. Nadia's voice crackled through my earpiece. Building inspectors parked around the corner. HOA rep just pulled up. Tax auditor's ETA is 5 minutes. County sheriff's on standby. And the grand finale. I smiled, watching Dylan post another Instagram story from my kitchen. Title insurance investigator will arrive at 1 p.m. sharp, with the federal prosecutor's liaison. You sure you want to do this publicly? I thought about every family gathering where Mom had humiliated me for not being successful enough, not married enough, not son enough. Every time Dad had compared me unfavorably to Dylan, his unemployed golden child. Every relative who'd believed their lies about helping me, supporting me, enabling me. They wanted an audience when they kicked me out, I said. They advertised this party to everyone we know, posted about their new house all over social media. They chose public. I'm just accepting their invitation. A text from my cousin appeared. Where are you? Your mom says you're being dramatic. I typed back, on my way. Wouldn't miss Mom's big day for anything. The building inspector's van turned the corner. The HOA representative parked directly in front of the house. The state tax auditor's sedan pulled in behind them. I started my car, timing my arrival for maximum impact. They wanted to steal my house in broad daylight. Fine. I'd take it back at high noon, with the whole family watching. The string lights I'd installed last Christmas twinkled above my deck as I walked up the driveway at 12:15 p.m. The Home Sweet Home banner Mom had strung across my porch fluttered in the breeze. Relatives turned, conversations stopping mid-sentence. Morgan. Aunt Patricia called out, her voice dripping false sympathy. Your mother said you were having a tough time accepting. The building inspector's clipboard caught the sun as he approached the front door. Inspection notice for permit violation. I need to speak with the property owner. Mom's champagne glass paused halfway to her lips. There must be a mistake. We haven't done any work. Removal of load-bearing support bracket. 2nd floor. Reported October 10th. He held up his tablet showing my date-stamped photos. This is a stop work order and a safety violation notice. The HOA representative stepped forward before Mom could respond. Mrs. Hale? I'm here regarding multiple covenant violations. She handed over a thick envelope. Short-term rental advertising, unauthorized occupancy change, and commercial use of residential property. $500 per day, starting from your Airbnb posting date. The relatives' chatter turned into confused murmurs. Dylan emerged from the house, his face flushed. What the hell is Mr. Dylan Hale? The state tax auditor appeared beside him. Department of Revenue, we need to discuss unreported rental income and fraudulent business filings. I stood perfectly still in the center of it all, my navy suit pristine against the chaos unfolding. Mom's eyes found mine, her face cycling through confusion, rage, and then something like fear. "You did this," she hissed. The sheriff's deputy arrived, not approaching yet, just standing by his vehicle, watching, waiting. Mr. and Mrs. Hale? The process server appeared from behind the tax auditor. "You're being served with an emergency injunction and civil lawsuit regarding fraudulent property transfer." Dad snatched the papers. "This is ridiculous. We own this house, show them." Linda. Mom fumbled for her phone, pulling up the photo of the quitclaim deed. "See notarized legal." The title insurance investigator chose that moment to walk up the driveway, his presence commanding immediate attention. That notarization was performed with a stolen seal by an individual now under arrest for fraud. The document is void. "More importantly," he continued, pulling out his own tablet, "we've discovered multiple HELOC applications filed using stolen identity information. Ms. Morgan Hale, did you authorize your brother to use your Social Security number for a $75,000 loan?" "I did not," I said clearly, my voice carrying across the silent yard. The federal prosecutor's liaison stepped out from behind the investigator. "Mr. Dylan Hale, we need you to come with us for questioning regarding interstate wire fraud and identity theft." Dylan's beer bottle slipped from his hand, shattering on my carefully maintained walkway. "Morgan, what do you tell them this is a mistake?" I pulled out my phone, finding the recording app. Mom's voice filled the air. "We had to move fast. That notary said the stamps were only good for a week. Your father practiced your signature for hours. Pretty good, right? You never even noticed when we swapped those papers you signed." The gathered relatives stood frozen. Cousin Beth's gift bag dropped to the ground. Uncle Terry slowly set down his plate. The caterers had stopped serving, watching the drama unfold. "We own that house," Mom screamed. The same words she'd shouted when they'd dragged me out, but now they sounded hollow, desperate. The sheriff's deputy finally moved, walking toward Dylan with measured steps. "Sir, you need to come with us." "This is your fault," Dad jabbed his finger at me. "You ungrateful Mr. Hale." Nadia Kerr's voice cut through as she emerged from her car, perfectly timed. "I'd advise you not to threaten my client in front of law enforcement." She handed him another document. "Temporary restraining order. You have 1 hour to vacate the premises and surrender all keys to the court-appointed neutral party." The relatives began backing away, some already heading to their cars. The party decorations fluttered mockingly in the breeze. Celebration turned to catastrophe in 12 minutes flat. Mom's face had gone pale. "You planned this. You let us throw this party. Invite everyone, just so you could—" "Just so I could what? Mom, take back what you tried to steal. Document your crimes with witnesses present. Yes, exactly that." The sound of Dylan being placed in the deputy's vehicle echoed across the cul-de-sac. The caterers were packing up. The relatives had fled, and I stood on my lawn, watching my parents gather their things under legal supervision, their empire of lies collapsing as publicly as they'd built it. The courtroom smelled like old wood and justice at 9 a.m. Sharp the following Monday. Judge Harrison, a woman who looked like she'd seen every scam in the book, reviewed the emergency motion while my parents sat rigid at the defendant's table. "Ms. Kerr," the judge began, "walk me through the evidence." Nadia stood, her presentation meticulous. "Your Honor, we have forensic handwriting analysis confirming the signature is forged with 98% certainty." The pressure mapping shows clear evidence of tracing. She clicked her remote. The courtroom screen displayed 2 signatures side by side, mine and the forgery. Note the unnatural pen velocity here and here. The forger couldn't replicate the natural lift patterns of Ms. Hale's authentic signature. What about the notarization? Judge Harrison leaned forward. The notary, Rebecca Hutchins, is currently under arrest for selling pre-signed, pre-stamped documents. We have her ledger showing a cash payment from Charles Hale on October 1st for 5 blank notarized pages. Mom's attorney, a sweating man named Brennan, who looked like he'd realized too late what he'd signed up for, tried to object. Circumstantial, I have more. Nadia interrupted smoothly. She presented my timesheet, keycard data, and the video conference recording. Ms. Hale was 20 miles away at Harbor and Finch Credit Union during the alleged signing. The timestamp metadata is unaltered. The screen changed to show the doorbell footage. October 1st, 6:20 p.m., Mrs. Linda Hale arrives with a locksmith for a consultation, pre-planning the forced entry that would occur days later. Judge Harrison's expression darkened. Forced entry. They changed the locks while my client was at work, Your Honor, without any legal authority, before any documentation was filed with the county. Nadia played my recorded phone call. Mom's voice filled the courtroom. Your father practiced your signature for hours. Brennan actually winced. Now, regarding the HELOC fraud, Nadia continued, pulling up Dylan's loan applications. Mr. Dylan Hale used Ms. Morgan Hale's Social Security number without authorization to secure $75,000 from Northline Capital. Objection. Brennan tried. Mr. Dylan Hale isn't a party to this specific motion. He's named in the expanded complaint, Nadia countered, and his fraudulent loans directly impact the property's title status. Judge Harrison studied the HELOC documents. This employment verification is forged, completely fabricated. He listed Ms. Hale's salary as double her actual income and misspelled her employer's name. The tax withholding calculations don't match North Carolina tables for that income bracket. I sat perfectly still, watching my parents shrink into their chairs as each piece of evidence landed like a hammer blow. The defendants also began advertising the property as a short-term rental, Nadia added, showing screenshots of Mom's Airbnb listing. They accepted deposits for future bookings, representing themselves as lawful owners. Your Honor. Brennan stood, his voice cracking. My clients believed they had valid life estate rights based on their contribution to the original purchase. A co-signature on a mortgage loan doesn't grant ownership rights. Judge Harrison cut him off. Surely you explained that to your clients. The silence was damning. Judge Harrison's gavel rang out. I've seen enough. The quitclaim deed is hereby declared null and void due to forgery and fraudulent notarization. All derivative documents, including the HELOC from Northline Capital, are similarly void, she continued, her voice sharp as glass. Possession of the property located at 427 Maple Grove Court is immediately restored to Ms. Morgan Hale. The defendants are ordered to surrender all keys, garage door openers, and any other access devices within 2 hours. Furthermore, she looked directly at my parents. This court is issuing a permanent restraining order. Mr. and Mrs. Hale and Mr. Dylan Hale are prohibited from coming within 500 feet of the property, or Ms. Morgan Hale. Mom shot to her feet. She's our daughter, who you tried to defraud of a $420,000 property. Judge Harrison responded coldly. This case is referred to the district attorney for criminal prosecution. I strongly suggest you retain criminal defense counsel. Your Honor, Nadia added, we're also seeking damages for the costs of remediation locksmith fees, credit monitoring, legal expenses, and punitive damages for intentional infliction of emotional distress. Motion granted. Full hearing on damages in 30 days. The gavel came down with finality. As we walked out, my parents trailing behind with their broken attorney, Mom tried one last time. Morgan, please. Save it for your criminal trial, I said without turning around. Hope you kept receipts for those stolen notary stamps. The locksmith a different one this time. Legitimate worked on my door at 4:30 p.m., while the process server supervised. The same porch where they'd dragged me out 2 weeks ago now held only the echo of their defeat. I stood on my threshold, watching the new brass pins slide into place. Each click felt like vindication. Behind the locksmith, my parents waited in their car, court order clutched in Dad's shaking hands. They'd already surrendered the keys, garage openers, even the spare hidden in the fake rock I'd told them about years ago. My phone vibrated continuously. Northline Capital confirming the HELOC cancellation due to fraud. The district attorney's office scheduling their arraignment. Harbor and Finch's security team thanking me for preventing further identity theft that could have compromised the credit union. Dylan wasn't here. He was still in federal custody awaiting his bail hearing. The Instagram entrepreneur who'd planned to turn my home into his personal ATM was learning about a different kind of house, one with bars. The locksmith finished, handing me 3 new keys. All set, Ms. Hale. I also rekeyed the garage and back door as requested. As he packed up his tools, another car pulled into the driveway. The title insurance investigator emerged, carrying a folder. "Final documentation," he said, climbing my steps. Northline Capital is eating the full $75,000. They're also facing federal investigation for their approval processes. Turns out yours wasn't the only fraudulent HELOC they fast-tracked. I signed where he indicated, officially clearing my title of any false liens. What about Rebecca Hutchins, facing 15 counts of fraud? Your case broke it wide open. The FBI found boxes of pre-signed documents in her garage. Mom's car horn blared one sharp, angry burst. I didn't look. Let her rage into the void she'd created. The investigator left, and I stood alone on my porch as the sun set over Maple Ridge. The same Japanese maple Dylan had posed beside cast shadows across my lawn. The string lights from their failed party still hung above the deck, but now they just looked like my lights again, my home again. I opened my door, and stepped inside. The smell hit me first Dylan's cologne, Mom's potpourri, the foreign scent of their occupation. But underneath, still there, the vanilla candles I loved, the lemon cleaner I used, the essence of the life I'd built. Room by room, I reclaimed my space. Dylan's office supplies went into trash bags. Mom's presumptuous family photos came off the walls. The lock on my filing cabinet had been drilled out. They'd been through my papers, looking for more to steal. They'd found only what I'd wanted them to find, decoy documents, while my real valuables sat in a safety deposit box they never knew existed. The doorbell rang at 6 p.m. I checked the camera. Mrs. Patterson from across the street, holding a casserole. "Thought you might not feel like cooking," she said when I opened the door. "I saw everything at the party. I'm sorry I didn't speak up when they first changed your locks. I thought, well, they're your parents." "They were," I said, accepting the dish. "Thank you." As darkness fell, I sat in my living room with every light blazing. No more pretending. No more playing nice with people who saw my success as their opportunity. The restraining order paperwork sat on my coffee table beside the prosecutor's contact card. Mom had texted 17 times before Nadia reminded her that electronic contact violated the order. My phone buzzed once more. Aunt Patricia. "Your mother says you set them up, that you're vindictive." I typed back. I gave them exactly what they gave me documentation. Mine was just real. Then I blocked her number. And Uncle Terry's. And every relative who'd celebrated my humiliation while eating catered food in my backyard. The house was quiet now. Peacefully. Perfectly quiet. No more lies echoing off the walls. No more schemes brewing in the guest room. Just me, my home, and the knowledge that sometimes the best revenge isn't elaborate. Sometimes it's just the truth, served cold with a side of legal documentation. I changed my locks one more time that night, installing a smart lock I could monitor from anywhere. Because I'd learned something valuable. Family doesn't mean safe. Trust isn't inherited. And the next time someone tries to steal from me, they better make damn sure I'm not taking notes. Thank you so much for listening to my story. I'd love to know where you're listening from. Drop a comment below and let's connect. If this story resonated with you, please subscribe to the channel and share your thoughts. Have you ever had to stand up to family members who crossed the line? I'd love to hear your experiences.